Hello Andy. Hope you all are doing wonderful preparation. Welcome to our channel Disc Civil Services in Detail, guiding aspirants to become officers. Let's begin our session of the Hindu Current Affairs Analysis and Answer Writing Strategies of October 22nd, 2025. First of all, wishing you all happy Diwali Andy. I heartfully wish all your dreams may come true. And I'm extremely sorry for not posting classes since last 2-3 days. I hope you understand because of the sound pollution. Especially our neighbors celebrated this like ante heights of celebrations I have seen witnessed, and since last 2 days it's really tough even to we hardly slept few hours, just somewhere around 3 to 5:30 6 our time low 3 a.m. to 6:30 something our timeline low mem nidrapoyamemo. So just you can imagine the level of celebrations these people did the whole night since last 2-3 days, and the smoke everywhere around, we were not even able to swallow properly. Anta throat infection, cough, cold. I was feeling like ammo, this is what people talk about particular matter, noise pollution, air pollution. And last 1 year ga manam current affairs analysis చేస్తున్నప్పుడు particularly September to Jan మధ్యలో వచ్చే articles exclusively discusses about air pollution in Delhi region. నేను ఈ 2-3 days విట్నెస్ చేసిన ఆర్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ చేసిన ఈ పొల్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ నాకు అనిపించింది వాట్ అబౌట్ ద లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ పొల్యూషన్ ఇన్ ఢిల్లీ. దిస్ ఇస్ వై పీపుల్ ఆర్ ఫోకసింగ్ మోర్. సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్, సుప్రీం కోర్ట్, ఎవ్రీవన్ is saying please stop bursting crackers and everything, and this is the first time I taken an initiative and I didn't even burst a single cracker. I felt like it's high time to take responsibility. ఒకరికి మంచి చేయండి, మంచి పాటించండి అని చెప్పాలంటే మనం కూడా చేసి పాటించి అప్పుడు చెప్తే బాగుంటుంది కదా. సో ఐ ఫెల్ట్ లైక్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ ఇయర్ I should definitely do whatever it is right and whatever it can be helpful, especially both to the fellow beings and nature. And yes, so other than the new initiatives taken on this Diwali, of course, say no to crackers okati aithe, which is really harmful to the nature as well as to the newborn child gani, pets gani, animals gani, even elderly people and all these things. Other than that, from exam perspective, we have introduced a few new modules and where we are going to post high probable topics relevant questions, mains questions post chesi, model answers kuda discuss chesi istamu, and few other initiatives we have started. Please go through our official telegram channel disc_civil services in detail అన్నది మన అఫీషియల్ టెలిగ్రామ్ ఛానల్ ఐడి అండి. అక్కడ కంప్లీట్ డీటెయిల్స్, మాడ్యూల్ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్ని కూడా ఇచ్చాము. అండ్ ఈ రోజు నుండే క్వశ్చన్స్ పోస్ట్ చేయడం స్టార్ట్ చేసాము. ఇఫ్ పాసిబుల్ try to answer them and try to compare them with the model answers. See, model answers say correct, meer rasindi correct kaadu lepothe match avvatledu ala compare cheyoddu. Every answer is unique and every answer is beautiful. Just try to develop, improvise your presentation skills. The more you practice, the more you write, the more better answers you can give. That's it. So these are the few initiatives, and in this 1 week we are going to announce few more. Hopefully everything went ఒకవేళ అంతా బాగా జరిగి అంటే మీ ప్రాక్టీస్ అంతా కూడా బాగా జరిగి, మీ ప్రిపరేషన్ బాగా జరిగి, మీరు ఒక మంచి అనుకున్న ర్యాంక్ సాధించి మీ ఎయిమ్లో, మీ జర్నీలో డిస్క్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద పార్ట్ అండ్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద మెయిన్ రోల్ ప్లే చేస్తే కనుక ఇట్ వుడ్ బి లైక్ రియల్లీ వెరీ హ్యాపీ అండ్ బ్లెస్డ్ మూమెంట్ ఫర్ అస్. సో లెట్స్ బిగిన్ అవర్ సెషన్. దిస్ వన్ అబౌట్ ద H1B visa అండి, ద ఫీ కట్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. అండ్ దిస్ వన్ అబౌట్ దిస్ ఢిల్లీ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ ఇంచింగ్ టు 5-year low. నేను ఆల్రెడీ మీకు చెప్పాను కదా, లాస్ట్ 1 year గా మనం అనాలిసిస్ చేస్తున్నాము కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ అనాలిసిస్ ఎక్స్క్లూజివ్గా ఫ్రమ్ కరెంట్ కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్లో. ఢిల్లీ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ అన్నది సెప్టెంబర్ టు జాన్ వరకు వచ్చే ఆర్టికల్స్లో, ఎడిటోరియల్స్లో 102% ఎవ్రీ వీక్ అట్లీస్ట్ ఒక ఆర్టికల్ ఉంటుంది. అండ్ డ్యూరింగ్ దిస్ దివాళీ టైం చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. అండ్ దే గివ్ దిస్ అనాలిసిస్ రీజన్స్. స్టబుల్ బర్నింగ్ we have discussed. Stubble burning is one of the main reason. And other than that, these temperatures, this air, this smoke, especially this pollution from celebrations of these bursting crackers and everything. So ikkada em cheptunnarante, nearly all the cities fell in North India and Indo-Gangetic plains, especially this Dharuhera, Haryana reported this vast air quality index. That is other than this Delhi, అంటే దీపావళి టైంలో పర్టికులేట్ మ్యాటర్ ఏదైతే 2.5 అక్రాస్ సెవరల్ లొకేషన్స్ క్రాసింగ్ 400 మైక్రోగ్రామ్స్ పర్ క్యూబిక్ మీటర్ లెవెల్స్ నాట్ సీన్ సిన్స్ 2021 అండ్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్లీ అంటే మీకు ఇది అడగరండి ఈ 400 గ్రామ్స్ 293 గ్రామ్స్ ఇది అడగరు బట్ అఫ్ కోర్స్ యూ షుడ్ డెఫినెట్లీ నో ద రీజన్స్ బిహైండ్ దిస్ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ and the reasons for pollutions, how it can be tackled, challenges, factors, consequences, way forwards and everything. అండ్ ఇది హై ప్రాబబుల్ టాపిక్ ఎవ్రీ ఇయర్ ఒక క్వశ్చన్ వస్తూనే ఉంటుంది అండ్ నేను మీకు చెప్పినట్టు ఈ 3-4 days డెఫినెట్లీ ఆర్టికల్స్ వస్తూనే ఉంటాయి. సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ ఈస్ సేయింగ్ టు కంట్రోల్ ద పొల్యూషన్ స్పైక్, CPCB is saying under Central Pollution Control Board which is reported an air quality index value of above 300 closed very poor air quality and the last 3-4 days nindi adi inka worsen ayindi exclusively because of this bursting crackers and everything. Other than that, key parameters that determines air quality levels are wind speeds on festival nights, so temperatures are low, smoke enti, chemical pollutants, haze, smoke, everything consider chesi they are saying across the regions of Gangetic Plains, Delhi witnessed high quality of ante highest amount of low air quality, that is heights of air pollution ani artham. And Diwali of 2025 is considered as the one of the most polluted in recent years. So even after government saying go to green crackers, that doesn't made any measurable difference compared to regular ones. So it's now evident that allowing firecrackers during this time of year is simply not sustainable for the NCR reasons. క్లియర్గా మెజర్స్ తీసుకుంటున్నప్పటికీ ఆల్టర్నేట్ సజెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నప్పటికీ ఇంత స్ట్రిక్ట్ రూల్స్ అండ్ రెగ్యులేషన్స్ ఉన్నప్పటికీ కూడా దే కుడెంట్ ఏబుల్ టు కంట్రోల్ దిస్. సో వాట్ కెన్ బి డన్ ఫర్దర్ అన్నది యూ గివ్ సజెషన్స్ యాజ్ ఎ వే ఫార్వర్డ్. దిస్ ఈస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ దిస్ ఆర్టికల్. అఫ్ కోర్స్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు డిస్కస్ ఇన్ డీటెయిల్ ఎడిటోరియల్స్లో 1-2 daysలో డెఫినెట్లీ వస్తుంది. అప్పుడు ఇంకా కంప్లీట్గా మల్టీ డైమెన్షనల్ అప్రోచ్ చేద్దాం. This is highly important from today's editorial page, air and noise data, real-time deception. As I already mentioned, there will be definitely series of articles coming in this 1 week or 10 days regarding this pollution, noise, air quality index, everything. You have to be very thorough. I always suggest you to go through the topic and develop the habit of writing running notes, because whatever analysis inputs content I'm providing, it's again not able for you to sit and do all the research and everything. And trust me, when I say it's a high probable, there will be definitely chances of getting that question. And one thing, if you have observed, I always suggest you to go through the సిలబస్ బేస్డ్ PYQ బేస్డ్ ప్రిపరేషన్, వెదర్ ఇట్స్ ప్రిలిమ్స్ ఆర్ మెయిన్స్. ఒక టాపిక్ వచ్చినప్పుడు అది హై ప్రాపబుల్ అని చెప్తాను, ప్రిలిమ్స్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ లో ఎలా వస్తుందో చెప్తాను, మెయిన్స్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ లో ఎలా వస్తుందో చెప్తాను. అండ్ ఐ నెవర్ సెడ్ దిస్ కమ్స్ అండర్ GS2, GS3 or GS4. I always suggest you, whatever the topic might be, if you have a strong command over that particular concept, you can connect or interconnect and interlink that 2 and 3. Ante if it is there in the GS2 question paper vachinappudu, if you are very strong at this concept, you can connect that even to ethics and your optional answers too. This is what I suggest you to develop the habit of getting strong analysis, in-depth analysis undali, content undali, wide range of understanding undali, multi-dimensional approach undalani. That's the reason I never suggested you to do this in the terms of GS1 gani, GS2 gani or prelims exclusive, mains exclusively ala kakunda, if it is relevant to your syllabus and if at any cost, if there is a chance of getting this question in your upcoming mains or prelims, how you have to be ready with the data, relevant data, content ani cheptanu. And that's the reason I always suggest 400 to 500 every topic paina 400 to 500 words of పర్టిక్యులర్ రెలవెంట్ డేటా, హైలీ అథెంటిక్ స్టాండర్డ్ డేటాతోనే ఆన్సర్ రెడీగా ఉండాలి. సో క్వశ్చన్ ఎలా ఫ్రేమ్ చేసినా కూడా యూ కెన్ బి ఏబుల్ టు కనెక్ట్ ఇట్. అనాలిసిస్ ఆల్రెడీ మీకు డెవలప్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి యూ కెన్ రైట్ ఎ బ్యూటిఫుల్ ఆన్సర్. ఈ పర్టికులర్ టాపిక్కి ఇంత చెప్పడానికి రీజన్, there will be no competitive exam without a question on pollution, especially when it's related to environment, air quality index, even మన environment, climate change, global warming ఇవన్నీ మాట్లాడుతున్నాం కదా. అండ్ వీటిలో కొన్ని కీవర్డ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ WHO కానీ, CPCB కానీ, అండ్ క్వాలిటీ ఇండెక్స్ కానీ, రిపోర్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ లేటెస్ట్ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ లైఫ్ ఇండెక్స్ బై ఎనర్జీ పాలసీ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ కానీ. వీటిలో మీకు ఫస్ట్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ తెలియాల్సింది, ఈ ఫ్యూ డేస్లో ఆర్టికల్స్ వచ్చినప్పుడు డెఫినెట్లీ CPCB గురించి they will mention, because this is the body which takes care of, ante it is the one which takes care of this air relevant and water relevant prevention and control of pollution act. So Central Pollution Control Board is a statutory organization which constituted in 1974 and it is under Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 వచ్చింది. It has the powers and functions under the air, again water and air కూడా. ఈ పాయింట్స్ మీకు చాలా బాగా గుర్తుండాలి బికాస్ యూ మే గెట్ ఏ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్ ప్రిలిమ్స్ టూ. సో ఎయిర్ ప్రివెన్షన్ అండ్ కంట్రోల్ ఆఫ్ పొల్యూషన్ యాక్ట్ ఏదైతే 1981 ఉందో, అండ్ ఇట్ ప్రొవైడ్స్ టెక్నికల్ సర్వీసెస్ టు ద మినిస్టర్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అండ్ ఫారెస్ట్ for the provisions of Environment Protection Act, and mainly it takes care of abating air pollution okati, abatement of water pollution okati, and it also coordinates with the affairs of the state pollution control boards, assists them and furnishes guidance. It helps in conflict resolution mechanisms matter, and most importantly it has delegated its powers and functions under Water and Water Prevention and Control Act and cess Act 1977, most importantly Air Prevention Control of Pollution Act 1981. ఈ పాయింట్స్ ఎంతగా చెప్పడానికి రీజన్ ఏంటంటే కమింగ్ డేస్లో ఈ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ ఇండెక్స్ రిలేటెడ్గా ఢిల్లీ ఎన్సీఆర్ రీజన్ రిలేటెడ్గా ఎడిటోరియల్స్ వచ్చేటప్పుడు అగైన్ అండ్ అగైన్ యూ విల్ బి గెటింగ్ దిస్ వర్డ్, ఈ కీవర్డ్ వస్తుంది ఈ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ గురించి. అప్పుడు యూ షుడ్ నాట్ ఫీల్ లైక్ అరే వీఆర్ నాట్ థరో విత్ ద బేసిక్స్ అని. దిస్ ఇస్ ద రీజన్ ఐ ఆల్వేస్ సజెస్ట్ యూ టు గో త్రూ ద స్టాటిక్ అండ్ బేసిక్స్, దెన్ ఓన్లీ ఇట్ విల్ బి ఈజీ ఫర్ యూ టు డూ ద కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ అని. అండ్ yes, CPCB also formulates minimal national standards specific for various categories of industries. So it is the one which takes care of industrial pollution gani, air pollution gani, noise pollution gani, all these things. And yes, it is a statutory body or constitutional ila questions vachinappudu kuda you should be able to understand, yes, it works under this and this organization, and this is the way this formed, and these are the functions and JP. So let's get into the article. Policy is only as strong as the credibility of the data it rests on. I'll try to explain it in a very clear, simplest form lo cheppadaniki. I try to simplify this topic. Here they are discussing about air and noise pollution data, and they have taken two cities as example. One is Delhi and two is Lucknow, and they have discussed here different dimensions like CPCB gani, WHO gani, national and global levels of pollution gani, targets enti, what we are doing, and how it is what it's called challenging the basic rights, fundamental rights to health and everything of the person as well as nature, and what the government is doing, where the flaws are there, what are the challenges, at what is the monitoring network at multiple levels is doing, but then still even after framing so many laws and rules and regulations it failing. Why? What can be done? And otherwise these real-time networks will turn into real-time disruption anadi article lo cheptunnaru. We'll go into the details. So recently two disturbing questions of governance, that is Delhi's real-time air pollution network and Lucknow's national ambient noise monitoring network, both were launched with fanfare, but both are like scientific weakness erode not only public trust but also India's international credibility. Because see, when you are expecting some partnership, energy partnership or some trade or export or manufacturing sector collaborations, the nations will definitely see what you are doing at your ante simple. If you are so good at if your democracy is stable, if your economy is stable, if your environmental rules and regulations are stable, and your industrial development growth is really going well, then the nations will try to come and invest and focusing on collaborations. If the very basic pillars and foundations of the nations are at stake, how can you expect other nations to come and invest? How can you expect other nations to come and give skill development or people connectivity or jobs or employment or manufacturing or exports, trade and all these things? So this is how it is questioning the credibility of international collaborations too. Ante this is not only a national problem, it is also an international. It is the one which is taking giving challenge for your global level relations, maintenance of this strategic partnership and everything. And again, for decades now it has been evident that Indian cities are unfit to breathe, with Delhi ranked as the worst. Until recently AP lo Google gurinchi we have discussed, no, AP lo Google is coming and starting these startups and everything. So when your cities are even unfit to breathe annappudu, how can you expect those international or global alliances to come forward and start these startups or they build their manufacturing industries and everything? And how can you expect for these collaborations another one of the point? And yet audits, inquiries including the recent CAG report reveals flaws in the monitoring network at multiple levels. Several incidents happen సిన్స్ అఫీషియల్ డేటా ఆఫెన్ రిపోర్ట్ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ యాజ్ మోడరేట్. అంటే ఇంత వీక్ ఉన్నా కూడా ఇది మోడరేట్ అని చెప్తున్నప్పుడు, వైల్ సిటిజన్స్ గ్యాప్స్ ఫర్ బ్రీత్ ఇన్ టాక్సిక్ స్మోక్, హౌ ఇట్ కెన్ బి మోడరేట్? It has to be given as worst kada. So here the questioning the authenticity of the report, but raises a fundamental question of governance too, not only technical deficiency alone. When evidence itself is unreliable annappudu, on what basis can public pollution policy stands? Ante when the reports, when the technical issues, when the deficiency in governance, everything is there annappudu, when the report which is formed and presented itself having flaws annappudu, how can you expect a proper policy formation to sort out the solution another one of the question here he raised. Every action plan for Delhi, whether on stubble burning, vehicular restriction, industrial emissions, must rest on robust and scientifically sound data. The sound data itself contains lots of loops and holes, and there's a gaps. So very data are not representative, and it's understating pollution. It is not only the policies but also the direction that stands compromised. This is what they are talking about, and they taken Lucknow as an example, and the situation is no different. In 2017 itself, the average noise pollution levels is 7 Indian cities exceeded the limits set by the CPCB, as I already explained about CPCB, no? So it gives rules and regulations, it sets rules and regulations on which basis these nations, different states have been taken care of these rules and regulations, and they work on controlling those pollution relevant, and they work on mechanisms to control. Aithe here they also mentioned about few other dimensions, like India continues to rely on outdated noise pollution regulation control rules edaithe 2000 undo, which has been criticized as being inadequate ani. So the decibel limits fall short of WHO guidelines. Enforcement is weak. Penalties carry very little deterrence. And technology deployed is spectacle without scientific discipline. These kind of words you have to write in your current affairs notes so that you can directly copy paste in your mains answer. These kind of words are highly important. That's the reason I tell you again and again, go through editorials and cheppedi. See, inta data, inta content meeku ekkodostundi. Only editorial you can get that kind of authentic standard data. So misleading data downplay hazardous levels are merely moderate. And in a democracy, misleading the public on health is deeply troubling. Ante ikkada again he is talking about governance becomes a contest between citizens and industries. Flawed numbers favor inaction, and the voices of citizens demanding protection under the right to health and life are suppressed. In Delhi, misleading air quality index okati maatladutu, it's also questioning the data which is inaccurate. It is also weakening the fundamental rights of article 19 and 20 చెప్తూ the judiciary too has begun to acknowledge this. Ante when the data which is provided is not, as I already mentioned, is not adequate and has a loopholes అన్నప్పుడు, how can you expect even the judiciary to come forward and take action అనేది ఆర్టికల్లో చెప్తున్నారు. And he also mentioned about few other points which relevant to underscoring of this Delhi airport nearby NGT relevant recognitions, and how to clear this noise pollution and all these things, how it is affecting. And yes, Delhi air pollution is high probable topic again from health perspective too, because of the air pollution, the people who are living there not able to breathe annappudu severe chronic respiratory diseases vastai. When you are focusing on sustainable development goals, national health mission undi, you have targets, how can you eradicate these chronic health diseases, especially relevant to respiratory, when the pollution itself is so high in those particular areas? So this is how you have to think. And the missing pillars which he is talking about, CPCB does have clear guidelines on sensor location, calibration, periodic audits and everything, but enforcement ఏదైతే ఉందో, it's not going properly because of political pressures, independent scientific scrutiny which is nearly absent. And he is also saying class 1 quality sensors for air and noise monitoring are installed at enormous public expenses by the CPCB under aegis of Ministry and Environment. As I already mentioned, it works under that, no? So the latest air quality life index report ఏదైతే ఉందో, released by the Energy Policy Institute. You may get a question on prelims direct ga, which of the following organizations or institute releases least air quality life index report annappudu Energy Policy Institute is the one which releases, and it clearly shown that Delhi's air met WHO standard, and life expectancy ఏదైతే ఉందో that has to be raised by 8.2 years. And ఈ debate అంతా కూడా, it's not about devices, it's about public health, and providing good health is your basic fundamental right, and governance has to be properly done fresh scientific evidences ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో they are showing that exposure to pollutants such as nitrogen dioxide, that is NO2, and particulate matter, these are weakening lungs and accelerating myopia. When air quality indices misrepresent reality, children with asthma are exposed to unsafe air. And likewise, flawed noise monitoring leaves infants and elderly unprotected. As I already mentioned in the very beginning of the session that how this troubles these infants and elderly people, and those who are like even the expecting mothers, those who are conceiving or lactating mothers, they have lots of impact because of the sound and air pollution, and it's directly indirectly relating or giving trouble to the next generation. Finally, he is saying for monitoring to inspire trust, science guide its foundation and focusing on installing more sensors strictly according to standards. So experiences of Delhi and Lucknow are a warning. Environmental monitoring cannot be treated as bureaucratic formality. Instead of doing it for the sake of doing, you have to be focusing on real-time technology and then reflect reality. And in rapid urbanization situation like in India's growing development, where it is huge rise in urbanization, environmental data will shape policy, inform public, and represent the national globally. If the data regime is misleading, the price will be paid not in reports but in children's lungs. This is what he is talking about. So it's directly affecting the next generation and the sleepless nights of citizens. So finally, he is saying environmental evolution and environmental monitoring process has to be done in a revolutionary way, and otherwise real-time networks will turn into real-time deception. This is what it's, and this is highly important topic. That's the reason I have taken so much of time and explained it, and I'll post these relevant topics of this topic questions, both prelims and mains perspective, in our official Telegram channel. Just go there and answer them. That's it. This is highly important article from today's editorial, which is discussing about adapting India's new foreign policy to sustain different chaos at global level. Ante India and its international affairs, foreign policy, maintaining collaborations and partnerships with other nations like US, Ukraine, Russia, Africa, Afghanistan, southern nations, West Asian nations, China, Pakistan, and neighboring nations. Ante from 1930s to 2025 what happened, how it is evolving, ఇవన్నీ కూడా different dimensions touch చేశారు. And this article has given by a very prominent personality, MK Narayanan garu, is a former director of Intelligence Bureau, and he is also a national security advisor, former governor of West Bengal. This article is exclusively relevant to foreign policy and other dimensions which are coming into frame when it's talking about international affairs and India maintaining its what it's called pace at global level. So we are going to do a separate session on this, and I'll release it in our official YouTube channel because it needs lot of multiple dimensions, and India 360 degrees approach of all the nations అనేది మనం చేయాలి. It needs lots of content and inputs. Previous years questions ఈ perspective లో ఏమున్నాయి కూడా యాడ్ చేసి I'll do a separate video and I'll release. This one highly important. If possible, put a double star. And those who are going to write EPFO exam, please make sure you go through this article. I know there's lots of crackers bursting sound in the background. I tried different options to control this noise and noise cancellation adi, but it didn't work well. Now you may be able to understand the level of noise pollution I mentioned in the very beginning of the session. So this is what happened since last 3-4 days. That's the reason I couldn't able to upload the class, and again it happened today also. But మన క్లాస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాబట్టి ఇంకా బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో వచ్చే నాయిసెస్ యూ జస్ట్ ఇగ్నోర్ అండ్ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ ద కంటెంట్ బికాస్ డూయింగ్ దిస్ ఈస్ వెరీ మచ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. And yes, coming back to the session, India is estimated to have a 4 million to 90 million domestic workers. So majority of them are from women and girls, especially from SC and ST communities, who are particularly vulnerable to structural power differences. So the court's recent directive itself is talking about criminal proceedings which are involving the confinement and tracking of a female domestic worker from a ST community from Chhattisgarh to Delhi. So these proceedings bring attention to several considerations, and child labor is rampant in this particular sphere where workers toil in the homes, workspaces, which has the effect of atomizing them. Inspections in workplace conditions is not that possible, that too in a nation like India. And especially when we were discussing about these slavery concept and bounded labor concept, you might have come across those topics where we discussed about tea estates in northeastern states, tea estates and bricklins in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and especially those who are migrating from Bihar and UP and working there, and they work for hardly very few rupees in a day, and they live in a slave kind of conditions. So again connect that topic to this topic. And again, many workers are migrants who need protections across state borders. So this kind of domestic labor exploitations can be taken care of, and the absence of a separate national level legislation to look into the protectionism. So here the topic is exclusively discussing about domestic workers, violence, regulations, risks, controlling mechanisms, so that these kind of challenges can be taken care of, intervention of judiciary, strict law, rules and regulation implementation at the national level and the state level. And in recognition of their contribution to the global economy, ILO, that is International Labour Organization, passed a convention in 2011 to ensure the rights and protection of domestic workers. So here it is this point. So there have been multiple attempts to pass the legislation at the national levels from 1915s. The National Platform for Domestic Workers, that is NPDW, was formed in 2012. So just go through once and write down few points. Basic in the CPCB ఎలా చెప్పానో అలాగా NPTW గురించి కూడా రాసి పెట్టుకోండి. To demand a comprehensive central legislation for whole this sect of domestic workers. Then NPW drafted a domestic workers regulation of work and social security bill in 2017. But this bill was never enacted into law. While the court's new directive welcome. So ఇది అంతా ఒక సైడ్ పెడితే gains made at the state level for the benefit of these domestic workers enti ante, in Tamil Nadu where there are about 2 million domestic workers, welfare board has been set up on the Tamil Nadu Manual Worker Act 1982. Through it, registers workers receive benefits including pensions, maternity benefits, educational assistance for children and accident relief. సో ఇక్కడ డొమెస్టిక్ వర్కర్స్ టాపిక్ మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు డొమెస్టిక్ వర్కర్స్ తో పాటు బౌండెడ్ లేబర్, స్లేవ్స్, చైల్డ్ లేబర్, exploitation of women, even it involves domestic violence, those who are working at the household sectors, and also talk about the abuse. These particularly ఇక్కడ ఆల్రెడీ మనం మాట్లాడాం కదా, women and girls mostly from the PVTGs and SC/ST communities who are vulnerable are getting into this sector అని connect these dimensions and then give a conclusion, and also mention few highlights of Karnataka government where it introduced Domestic Workers Social Security and Welfare Bill 2025, which looks to regulate the working conditions of domestic workers. ఎంత సౌండ్ పొల్యూషన్ వస్తుందంటే ఐఎమ్ సీరియస్లీ just imagine if there are any elderly people or newborn people or those who are very vulnerable with severe health conditions like cardiac problems or respiratory problems. Just imagine the level of third money. People should have sense. Celebrate చేసుకోవాలి, ఫెస్టివల్ కాదనట్లేదు, but there should be a limit. I seriously don't understand. We talk about regulations, NGT, CPCB, అది ఇది, practical implementation వచ్చేటప్పటికి ఏమి ఉండదు. And this is how it. And seriously, if you have observed after Diwali, the second day of the Diwali, almost in every city you might have seen this rain. It's not because of emantaru cloud natural rain process kaadu. It's because of the level of pollution. Because of the pollution, especially air pollution, and the whole premises were so, matlab, everywhere there was a smoke. Forget about it. So coming back to the article. And finally, the workers need to have minimum wages, overtime pay, weekly holidays. Importantly, it requires employers to contribute 5% of wages to welfare fund that will distribute welfare benefits, because they are in the sector where very hardly any regulations or rules are there, so that their benefits can be properly taken care of. So it is requesting for that. Tamil Nadu is one of only 12 states that stipulates minimum wages for the domestic workers. These wages must be updated and increased. This is one point they are talking about. And they are also talking about a workbook must be issued to each employer through a tripartite board constituting employers, employees and the state, because most of the times when these workers are getting into the ante వాళ్ళకి జాబ్ కావాలనేటప్పుడు there are conditions where this middleman interferes and they frequently mediate. Employment agencies, brokers who are highly exploitative, there's mediate between relationship between these employers and employee, and they exploit both the sides, but the one who is at the receiving end, like this domestic section, they are the most vulnerable. And so that kind of things has to be taken care of, and that can be avoided by these kind of regulations. This is what they are suggesting. This must be maintained by each employer, employee and endorsed each month. Women workers have reported not being able to access local complaints committees set up at the district level under the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. Corporate lo kuda undi kada, posh. We have discussed about this act when we were discussing about corporate culture, toxic work culture, security and safety of women at workplace మాట్లాడినప్పుడు we have discussed these dimensions. And these complaint committees must be set up at panchayat and urban local bodies. This is highly important because it has to be done from the very decentralized level. It's not like urban state law, metropolitan states law. What about the people who are working at the very rural, remote areas? They too have that access to these rules and regulations, and they too should avail the benefits of this rules and regulations, and laws should be enacted in such a way that they can also avail the fruits and benefits. Finally, housing is another critical consideration for domestic workers, where one woman is working in one workplace for 4 to 5 years. 5 hours is different, but if the same woman is working in 4-5 day houses, each half an hour or 1 hour at a place, how you can calculate and take them? So these are the different cases, and these are the different kinds of scenarios which you have to consider. This is one point they are talking about. And finally, workers in Tamil Nadu received some assistance during pandemic-induced lockdown in 2020-2021. Several could not pay rent. Rather than intermittent relief in event of a crisis, structural solutions are imperative to protect the women in this critical workforce అంటున్నారు. సో ఐ హోప్ దిస్ ఆర్టికల్ ఇస్ వెరీ క్లియర్. ఈ యాక్ట్స్ ఏదైతే మెన్షన్ చేశారో, అనాలిసిస్ ఏదైతే మెన్షన్ చేశారో, ఛత్తీస్గఢ్, ఢిల్లీ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఏదైతే చెప్పారో అదొకసారి చూసుకోవాలి. ఫైనల్లీ క్రక్స్ ఆఫ్ ద ఆర్టికల్ ఇస్ సింపుల్. They need a law, proper regulation. Absence of separate national level legislation to look into these protections is benefiting to the exploiters who are doing this and hurting the workers who are in this end in multiple ways. This is what it's all talking about. That's it. This article, highly important. India is symbol of stability in a world going through crisis. So whenever any article discussing about statements given by Honorable PM, President, CJI, must ensure you have to write it in your current affair notes and try to put them in your relevant mains answers. Coming back to the article, where the world is going through different kinds of crisis, India is maintaining its stability. Credit goes to the governance, policy making, democracy, everything. He mentioned that on an open letter to the citizens on Deepavali. He said the success of Operation Sindoor, fight against left-wing extremism, rationalization of GST structure are the signs where India emerged as a beacon of stability in crisis-ridden world. He also mentioned Lord Shri Ram teaches us to uphold righteousness and also gives the courage to fight injustice, which we have done this, and we are the living example witnessing this, where during Operation Sindoor, Bharat not only upheld righteousness but also avenged injustice. And he also mentioned about particularly Deepavali. For the first time, lamps will be lit in many districts across the country where the Naxalism and Maoist terrorists have been eradicated from the grassroots levels. And in the recent times, we have seen many individuals abandoning the path of violence, joining the mainstream, those who are coming into the mainstream. He mentioned that point. And amid these historic achievements, he also mentioned about next generation reforms. On the first day of the Navaratri, lower GST rates were implemented. During this GST Bachat Utsav, oh my god, this crackers and everything, citizens are saving thousands of crores of rupees. So in a world going through multiple crises, Bharat has emerged as a symbol of stability and sensitivity. So these kind of words highly important, and you have to write these kind of keywords in your main answers. So primary responsibility of every citizen is to fulfill their duties towards nation, and we as a nation are on track to become the third largest economy in the world in near future. So he is also mentioned about, let us promote the spirit of Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat, respect all, let us respect all languages, let us maintain cleanliness, let us prioritize our health, let us reduce the use of oil in our food by 10% and embrace yoga. All these efforts will rapidly move us towards a Viksit Bharat. So this is how you have to work for being the best nation. This is what he mentioned. So Deepavali also teaches us that when one lamp lights another, its light does not diminish but it grows further. This is what we talk when we discuss about let's glow and grow together. So this is all about this article. That's it. And keywords are important for writing main answers. So this is all about today's The Hindu Current Affairs Analysis and Answer Writing Strategies of October 2025. I hope it's helpful. Once again, happy Diwali. Let's celebrate Diwali like a light of festivals instead of bursting crackers and creating more chaos, noise pollution, air pollution, etc. At least try. If you start trying, you can bring miracles. So this is all about today's session. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. And yes, go to our official Telegram channel. Their questions have been posted. Please go and try to write the best answers. Try to submit. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.